Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm Will Ware. I'm with WHHI-TV. We're coming to you today from Lowcountry Montessori School in Beaufort. Our guests today are Amy Horn, who's the director here at the school, Miranda Altus, who's a teacher here at Lowcountry Montessori School, and Sarah Fox, who's the office manager and also a parent of a student. So stick around for more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Port Royal comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We are joined today by Amy Horn, Sarah Fox, and Miranda Altus from Lowcountry Montessori School here in the Beaufort. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
So this is a beautiful new facility,
Yes, it is.
and we're at the Lowcountry Montessori School. So I've seen the word Montessori associated with some schools around town. And for our viewers who may not be familiar with the Montessori program, can you give us a little bit of background on who Montessori was and what the kind of the theory is behind the Montessori approach?
Yeah, Maria Montessori was originally a physician. She was actually one of the first female physicians in Italy, and she kind of got diverted on accident and was working with some children in Rome that were pretty impoverished and were considered not to be educatable. And she started working with and observing these children and realized that if she gave them the right tools, that these children progressed and started to learn. And through her work over many, many years and across the world, she then began to implement this method that really kind of entrusted the child and gave responsibilities that we didn't really consider appropriate at that time to the children, and followed them. We always say follow the child, follow the child. You'll hear that term in Montessori a lot. And it's truly looking at that individual child and seeing what their needs are and trying to meet them where they are and then go to where their potential is. So that's kind of the big thing around here is what we try to do is we look at each individual child. And
So it's an approach to education that really gives the child a little bit more responsibility and makes ownership of his progression.
It does. We really try to internalize that motivation within the child, and I think this method kind of capitalizes on that. Children that come through the program, and even those that started here last year, we're seeing that change start to happen with the children where they're actually becoming self-directed and that they're, taking charge of their own education, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So, for example, if you walked into a lower elementary classroom, which is where I teach, then you would see each of the students doing something completely different unless they were working together on a material. And the majority of the materials are manipulative. So you will see these bizarre puzzle-looking materials on rugs that are on the floor, or they'll be working at tables and they're putting the pieces together. And a lot of those are mathematical, or they're language pieces that form words together. So each of the students in the classroom, they're working at their own ability. So you might have a first grader who might be reading on a kindergarten level or not reading at all. And then you have another first grader that's working alongside that student who might be on a third grade reading level. So in this kind of environment, we're allowed to honor each of those levels.
So is there, at the beginning of the week, is there like a goal or something where you have, okay, we need you to get this done this week, or how does that work?
Well, the idea is to kind of entice the children with the materials.
Okay.
And so you're bringing them to lessons. You're saying, okay, this person is ready or this child is ready for this lesson. And so you're calling them in small groups, depending on where they are in the curriculum. You're presenting that lesson and then there's a follow-up to it.
Okay.
So we call it freedom with responsibilities. There are responsibilities. A lot of people think that Montessori is just kind of this free thing, but there is a rhyme and reason to what we do. And a lot of teachers will use work plans. That may actually depend on the child too. Some need work plans that are very specific. Some need a work plan that's open-ended because they're motivated and they're seeing things they want to do and doing those things. And some need some direction.
Right.
So we, kind of look at that child and see what fits them.
I'm going to wait for you.
In that case, since the kids are working at their own pace and independently, as a teacher, what is the curriculum that they would follow for this class as a whole? How would that work?
All of our teachers go to Montessori training. And so we call manuals, and it's a 3-year curriculum. Every subject has a manual, and it literally is a step-by-step approach to giving the lessons, how to give the lessons. You can go on YouTube and put in Montessori lessons, and you'll actually see what happens in the classroom at all levels. There's all kinds of good information out there. You can kind of get an idea of how those lessons look.
And each of the materials that are on the shelf have a very specific purpose. So we don't just put a pile of shells on the science shelf. We will normally have a pile of shells with cards that they need to end up matching, or either whatever work that they're doing from the shelf, there's a specific purpose. So even if something looks like a big pile of something, there is a purpose behind it. And if you sit and observe, which is a huge part of our job, is observation, then you'll observe the child using the manipulatives in a way that you probably wouldn't have figured a child could do.
Right.
And a lot of times using very large words in a language curriculum for younger kids, but anyone who has a child who loves dinosaurs can immediately recognize the word Tyrannosaurus rex, but they can barely spell the word or read the word the.
Right.
So we know that there is a lot functioning in their brain that a lot of people do not give them credit for. So in this kind of environment, we're giving them an enormous amount of credit for their possibilities.
And so that's an example of following the child.
Exactly.
Yes, I would add, just as a parent too, that you're following that child's interests, and all those materials are developmentally prepared for that age group, so you can work down and work up as that child is and where they are.
Right.
It's really helpful.
Wow.
And build self-esteem.
And that's what brings the child in too, as Amy said. You want to entice them to the materials. So if we do have a student who loves horses, I've got 2 in my classroom who love horses. So I think, in my environment, my classroom, how can I bring this student to love this particular math lesson? So maybe I will have them, count a certain number of little tiny horses.
Right.
Or maybe I could have a division game with dividing the little tiny apples between little tiny horses.
Right.
So you're trying to entice the child into it. And it goes all the way up to high school to be able to entice them by their interests. And if that's the way that they're going to learn, then just imagine how they're going to be when they're adults.
Right. And they find a passion.
They find their passion and they stick with it.
Wow. Okay, we need to take a quick break. So stick around for another segment of 843 TV from Lowcountry Montessori School.
They have.
And we're back here at 843 TV at Lowcountry Montessori School. Typically, I think some folks associate the Lowcountry schools with the preschool and the lower grades. Does it go beyond to the middle and high school?
Well, typically you'll see Montessori out in the private sector just covering preschool toddler programs. There's even infant programs out there that are Montessori based, but we actually will eventually go all the way through the 12th grade. We have preschool right now through the 10th grade, and we'll add a grade each year. And the philosophy is what kind of makes it all work. In the lower grades, you have a lot of the materials and things like that, and then the children start to abstract into that there's not a need for those materials anymore. And so as they get older, it becomes less concrete and more abstract. But it goes all the way through high school.
Okay.
So now, how do you handle for the high school age students who algebra is something that's part of a normal high school curriculum? Is that something that you're going to teach here in the Montessori school for teenagers?
Yeah, we do. And just to give you an idea, the high school is set up pretty much like a traditional high school, except for they have what we call personal world, where they're kind of internalizing, reflecting on, and trying to figure out what their interests are, and be kind of introspective in that. We're teaching that so that when they go off to college, they'll know what their interests are and they'll know what they want to do.
Right.
As opposed to getting to college as a freshman and kind of, teetering around between things, maybe wasting a lot of time taking courses and money. And so I think that's where it differs. And we also have advisors. Each teacher pairs up with a student throughout their entire high school and is advising them throughout on anything. It could be a social issue they're having, problems at home. It could be that they're having trouble in a certain subject they need some extra help with. And so you have that really close-knit community in the high school, and that philosophy grounds that. But they still take the courses that are required by the state. They have algebra, they have the different subject matters.
Right, and is the evaluation process the same for regular schools, or is it different?
It is different at the lower grades, but once they hit high school, we've got to have a GPA.
Yeah.
And so they start getting grades for the courses and credits for the courses, and so that's where the big change happens.
Okay.
Before that, we do what we call mastery. We're trying to make sure the child has mastered something.
I've mastered the teens or whatever.
Right, exactly. And so, we have our progress reports would look something like they've been presented this lesson, they're practicing this lesson, they've mastered this lesson.
Okay.
So we don't want to quantify it because we're really making sure that all of those children are getting those skills. And once they have that skill, they're moving on to the next. So we're not doing them disservice by saying, okay, you've got to have this skill by this date, and if you don't, we're going to move on.
Right.
We're going to have the skill down before we move on.
Sure.
So then you will have that foundation to get what you need next.
And I'll just add that they're multi-age grouping. So in a level, you have like lower L, you'd have first, second, and third grades. You have time within that period to go up and flow at your own pace. And the teacher, you typically would have that teacher for 3 years. So they would know you, they would know where you are, what you need next, and it's just a very tailored approach.
And to add on to that too, if you, with that multi-age grouping, which is really important in this kind of environment, if you walk into a classroom, you will see perhaps a third year working with a first year. So even though at this point there is a lead teacher and an assistant, we still use, our older friends, what we call them, our older friends, to help teach the younger friends. So we are also training them to be more independent in a way of, I see this child needs help, I'm going to go help them with their addition right now.
It's like a little mentoring program.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. A mentorship program.
And what better way to show they've mastered it than to actually be able to teach the lesson? So.
And that is kind of one of the final calls of mastered, is knowing if they can teach this child correctly, but we're still watching, we're still observing. That's a huge part. Then we just have to make sure, that. And we also make our mental notes that if they might be teaching a little bit incorrectly, then that's when we need to step in and make that note of, okay, I need to redo this lesson, revisit this lesson.
Well, it sounds like Maria Montessori was a little bit ahead of her time.
Yeah, she was a visionary.
She was.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about this school in particular and the population you serve.
Okay. Well, we serve, we have a program that serves 3-year-olds all the way through 10th grade. We're a free public charter school with the exception of the 3- and 4-year-olds. That's a fee-based program because we don't get money from the state. But we serve the entire state of South Carolina. Because we're a state-funded charter school, anyone from the state can come to our school, which is interesting because we do pull families from Hampton and Yemassee and Ridgeland and Bluffton, Hilton Head. We have families from all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And they make the drive to come to this school. Yeah.
This is the second year at this facility. How has this benefited? Tell us some of the things about the facility that are beneficial.
Yeah. Well, we were in a temporary facility last year, which was challenging. We were very grateful that we had that facility because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to open our doors. But wow, this is so much better. And it's because we were, kind of crammed and it was tight quarters last year, which creates all kinds of things within a classroom. But now we have these spacious rooms to to
move
stretch
around,
and
yeah.
move, and especially with those little guys, there's lots of shelving and materials, and so there's room for everything, which makes a tremendous difference.
It also taught some of the students last year about resiliency, being able
That's
to
right.
be more resilient.
And
Right.
some of the staff.
Yeah,
Yes.
and appreciation, and just being
Absolutely.
patient, knowing that it's coming and it will be here,
Right.
and here we are.
And can you tell us, for the viewers, where we are exactly? So
We are, it's considered Port Royal, but our address is in Beaufort. We are located near Paris Island, kind of behind the Bilo,
okay.
in a neighborhood.
Very good.
So.
Okay, we're going to take another short break and stick around for one more segment of 843 TV from Lowcountry Montessori School. Welcome back to 843 TV. We're coming to you from Lowcountry Montessori School here in Beaufort. I do have two small children, and we're looking at schools, and there are a variety of options in our area. I'm flooded with options.
It's a good thing.
And opinions, So if I chose this school and I wanted my kids to attend Lowcountry Montessori School, how would I go about learning more about how to enroll or apply, or how do I do that?
We are a school of choice, which is a great thing. I think more choice, the better. And basically what you would need to do is go online to our website, lowcountrymontessori.com, and there's a place where you can download an application, or you can come to the office, fill out an application, hand it in. We will be accepting applications for this year up until the 135th day of our, and so basically what happens is there is some turnover here and there. We do have a decent wait list, but what I would suggest is if you are wanting to get in this year, go ahead and send that in as fast as possible, and then it just, as people move, we're a military town, so we do have movement during the year. That changes some, and if a seat becomes available, then that child would.
So there's still
offered.
time for the fall 2015,
time.
spring 2016 academic year. If you want to, if you're looking for, it's time to go back to school. And if you're looking for a place, this is a great place, a great option for you.
And let's just clarify, as again for the viewers, that there is no fee for the grade schools.
It's free. For kindergarten through 10th grade, it's free. The 3- and 4-year-old program is fee-based.
Okay, right. That's a great option to
It's huge.
It's quite an advantage, absolutely.
Well, what's fascinating about it is that Maria Montessori did intend for it to be free education. But over the course of 100 years or so, it's turned into more of a private school institution where it costs hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, to send your kids to school. So this is free, and so you're getting the best education for free.
Well, and one thing I'd like to add to that too is that people are catching on, because what we're seeing is now brain science is backing up what we've known for years, as Montessorians, and but we're being able to look at MRIs and see the connections that are being made because of the manipulatism, because of the way children are taught. And so it's catching on in the world of education. You're seeing a lot more free options. There's Charleston and in the public schools, there's magnet programs that are popping up. And my thing is the more the better.
Right.
Because if we can serve more children with this type of education, I think the world will be a better place.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just the kind of the approach that you're talking about lends itself to, continued mentorship through after you're done with education. And kind of following your passion and following the child. It's following the adult. Do what you like.
Right.
And we'd all be a little happier, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So now we've got a fundraiser coming up this fall. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This will be our third annual Artscape Beaufort, and it is November 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's a pop-up art gallery, and it's a lot of fun. There's on that Friday night, there's a soiree, so it's when you have the first opportunity to go and buy the art. And what's great about it is because Beaufort is such an artsy community, but we pull artists from Charleston, Savannah, Greenville, Columbia.
We had people from California. I think, last year.
Atlanta. If they could ship their art, we get them to come, and it's a benefit to artists too. So if you're an artist out there and you're interested in checking out the event also, and you want to have some of your art in it, then you could go to our website And basically what it does is 40% of the proceeds go to Lowcountry Montessori, 60% go back to the artist. So it's a win-win. And there's no fee for the artist. They don't even have to be here. So it's really nice. But it's been a great fundraiser for us, a lot of fun. And I've gotten some really cool art.
Anyone could come and be involved in that as far as purchasing
The
the art.
soiree is a purchased event, and then Saturday and Sunday it's a gallery, so they can come in and it'll be located right above Lulu's. I'm spacing on
that the Old Bay Marketplace
Yes,
rooftop?
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the Old Bay Marketplace. So.
And that's a really cool location.
It is. And the Sunday is a family fun day too.
Okay. Okay, and so that's in November, right?
November 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Is there anything else on the horizon for this academic school year that we can look forward to from Lowcountry
We have a lot of great things going on. We have
The Peace Project is pretty cool. So you might see a lot of kids of all different ages doing some pretty cool things around town to bring a smile to somebody, to help out animals at the animal shelter, picking up a lot of litter along the beach. There's tons of different ideas that they come up with. And then towards the end of the year, that's when we end up having, it's kind of like a peace project fair. And they present what they did. We also have International Night. International Night's a lot of fun. And each classroom chooses a continent or a country that they want to work on. We have food, dances, singing, whatever the classroom chooses. And that's a lot of fun too.
Well, Amy, Miranda, Sarah, thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you for watching 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.